During the appropriately named fall season, many nuts make their presence known by dropping all over the ground. There's no way to miss them, because usually you either step around or walk over them. But one nut that ripens in late summer isn't so obvious to spot. Meet hazelnut, or filbert, as the domestic variety is called. It's the shyest of the nut-bearing trees, although it's really more of a medium-sized shrub. This native member of the birch family grows in dense groups by the edges of fields and in woodlands. It blends into the landscape so well that it's barely noticeable. If you've ever tried the chocolate spread Nutella, then you've eaten this nut, since it's one of the main ingredients. Even when young, the deciduous leaves look ratty and old. They're alternately arranged on the branches and are heart-shaped with coarsely toothed edges. Don't depend on these to identify this shrub, as they resemble many other trees' leaves. Note the prominent veins on the underside. Each shrub has both female and male flowers. The tiny females have red tufts and are located near the end of the twigs. The numerous male catkins first appear in late summer and remain dormant throughout the winter. Then in early spring of the next year, they elongate and release clouds of golden pollen into the air. Not much distinguishes this shrub from its surroundings, but it becomes much easier to recognize when its pale green husks appear. These are actually a pair of modified leaves and are an ingenious way to enclose and protect the developing nuts. Look for them in early summer at the ends of the branches. They can't be mistaken for anything else. If you hike or ride a bike like I do, there's a better chance you might spot them. I make a list of where the shrubs are so I can return every few days to check on their progress. Two kinds of hazelnuts are found around here. The American hazelnut has 2 to 5 rounded coverings joined together and open at one end. Each holds one nut. These are covered with sticky hairs and have ruffled wings. The beaked hazelnut is less common and has a sheath with an elongated tube. It's covered with spiny hairs that might be irritating, so it's a good idea to wear gloves if you collect this type. Hazelnuts are one of the first nuts to ripen in Massachusetts, usually sometime in late August or early September. In a good year, the bush is loaded with bounty, so there's plenty for both me and the local wildlife. But you need to be vigilant, because gray squirrels love these nuts. They'll often strip a shrub bare before the nut is even ripe. It might be a good idea to pick them while they're slightly underripe and let them ripen at home. Collect these when it's dry outside. If it's damp, they might get moldy. Pry open the green coverings and look at the color of the nuts. If they're pale greenish cream, they're not ready. If they're light brown, then you're in luck and you can take them. Don't wait until the husks turn brown, because that's when they split open and drop the nuts onto the ground. By that time, hungry critters have probably devoured them all. To harvest, pull the entire cluster from the shrub. Since these are tacky, I wipe my hands with my own portable towel that's attached to my bike seat. It's difficult to remove nuts from fresh husks, so put them inside to dry for 1 or 2 weeks. Then it'll be much easier to open them and release the nuts. They keep indefinitely in their shells if stored in a cool area. To shell them, place a cloth over them so pieces of shell won't fly up into your face. Gently tap them with a hammer. Once they're shelled, place them in the fridge or freezer so they won't become rancid. The nuts are covered with a reddish-brown skin. It's edible but somewhat bitter, so you may want to remove it. To do that, put the nuts in an oven and bake at 350 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes. Turn them often so they won't burn. Then while they're still warm, cover them with a towel and rub briskly. The skin should slip off easily. Although the nuts can be eaten raw, I think they taste better roasted. Hazelnuts are very nutritious. They're high in vitamin E and calcium. They also contain oleic acid, which is considered to be one of the healthiest sources of fat. If you have an abundance of nuts, try making a hazelnut beverage. Some people call this a nut milk, but since it isn't dairy and isn't from a lactating animal, I prefer to call it a nut drink. It's easy to make. Take 2 cups shelled nuts and soak them in water overnight. Drain the water, rinse, and place them in a blender. Add 2 cups water, 1 teaspoon vanilla, and sweetener if you wish. Blend, then strain through extra fine cheesecloth into a bowl. Squeeze out as much liquid as you can. Transfer it into a glass jar and store in the fridge. It will keep for 5 days. The juice may separate, but all you have to do is shake it, and it'll be fine. This makes a small serving, about 1½ cups. I don't make more because the juice might go bad. Be sure to save the leftover pulp for smoothies, baked goods, or whatever else you can think of. It can be dried and stored to use later. Just put it in an oven set on low or in a dehydrator. Although many wild hazelnuts are smaller than their cultivated counterparts, their taste is the same as those that you'd buy in the store. And the price is right.